Folks, welcome to LAMP 3.0. And my name is Steve. If you don't know who I am, I run an agency called Learn Awesome, and Nicole Trompeter is coming into the waiting room. Here she is. I'm going to keep getting excited when I see people's names because this is one of the only things that I get to do other than learning design. Even though this is learning design, it's something that I get to actually connect with people who I see on LinkedIn. As an aside, Mary and I and Amadeus, we've known each other for a few years thanks to COVID, but we only caught up in person in Nashville last year, not too many months ago. It was absolutely amazing. So super, super stoked. We are here because we have a mentoring program which has evolved in two other versions. We had LAMP 1.0 ages ago in Australia where we ran it because we wanted to offer up the ability for new to industry designers in the L&D space to get experience in real client work, real project work. And then that was cool, but we ended up donating people to not-for-profits. And then the not-for-profits, bless their cotton socks, had the best intentions in the world, but completely destroyed the souls of our participants, which was no good. So what we wanted to do was then create a 2.0. And 2.0 was a way for us to have a little bit more control and protect our beautiful Lampies, our Learn Awesome mentoring program. And now I have to go the Learn Awesome Lavender Dragon mentoring program. So that's now probably changed it from LAMP to not even going to have a crack. It's too early. More caffeine is required. Delicious. We wanted to protect the mentees a little bit. And what I mean by that is that we have a client, a not-for-profit client in LAMP 2.0, the Life Skill Academy. We've made a deal with them as Learn Awesome, and it's not a dodgy deal. It's super important that we talk about ethics today. We've made a deal with them where our agency, regardless of who does the work, is going to donate all of our learning design to them to build all of their learning programs, which then created an opportunity for us to have a real client to build real projects for, and then allow mentees to come in and benefit from not only the project, but getting an opportunity to be protected and guarded for the first project or the next project that they're working on by being absorbed into Learn Awesome as an agency and letting me look after you and use all of our tools and pick my brain and build this really cool project. And we had some really, really cool projects that were created. So for those of you who have just sort of dropped in as we go, I'll keep an eye on the chat a little bit, but I might rely on Mary and Amadeus to support me a little bit there, which is fantastic. I just throw them under the bus just because we can, but we only just sort of figured out that we were going to talk to each other today anyway, which is great. But what we're going to cover off first is I just wanted to briefly just have a bit of a chat about the challenges of getting a job in 2023, not just in learning design, but especially in the learning design sector. It's such a beautiful place and an industry to be a part of, because what I found is when I was at college, I was told, hey, to have maximum impact in an organization, you can be two things. You can be the CEO or you can be in learning and development. And I didn't want to be a CEO at the time, but fast forward, I guess you could call me a CEO of Learn Awesome, but really, like, you got to keep it in perspective. We have a saying in Australia, like legend in his own lunchbox or their own lunchbox. And that's what I am. I'm a legend in my own lunchbox because at the end of the day, it only just goes on the fridge, my title. So that's really, really all that is. But L&D is super, super cool because you can influence people's behavior. You can change the way that they think. You can teach them new skills. You can do so many things. And now with technology, just jump on LinkedIn and look at all the stuff that's happening there. There is so many cool ways that you can create learning. And I think that's the most beautiful part of our job in the learning industry is we very rarely will we get to do all of these things. But when it comes to the content, what the content's all about, not really our jam, because we've got subject matter experts to do that. Why is it super important to know? Well, usually there's a change manager or the subject matter or the organization knows the why. How do you do it? Well, we either have to learn how to do it if they don't have a subject matter expert, or the subject matter expert will know the how. So then what do we have influence over as a learning designer? We have an influence over the way, the secret W, the way that the content is structured, the way that it's packaged, the way that the information is distilled and disseminated. That to me is a privilege, to be able to have someone trust you enough to take the information, to take their knowledge and package it in a cool way that's going to engage the end user, i.e. the learner. And I just love it so much. So the challenges that are happening is obviously the economy is an interesting thing and politics, but we're not here. LAMP 3.0 is not about that. We don't have an opinion on that sort of thing, but we just know that it's challenging because there's lots of layoffs, there's lots of pressure and expensive to do everything. And this world of learning and design and learning and development is really tricky to play in. But what I think is really important is the rules of the game haven't changed at all. In order to succeed in getting a job, you need to play the numbers game. And I think Laura's here today. Laura, just raise your hand. I had a chat with Laura. Laura's a career coach and make you look really good on LinkedIn and on your resume and get yourself super prepped for things. We had a chat the other day about this as well. And so she'll be here. She'll be part of this as well to support the Lampies in their quest for job acquisition or transferring into the world of L&D. But yeah, ultimately, it's won and lost on numbers. You got to apply for heaps of jobs, and then you're going to have to accept that you're not going to get even called back for some. But then after that, you've got to get some interviews. But then once you get to the interviews, that's a whole other game. It's like, and again, Mary and Amadeus, they are experts and specialists at gamification. So we can think of it like Super Mario, right? We beat level 1-1. We go into the dark world of level 1-2. Cool. There's more challenges, which is the interview stage. So we get into the interview stage and we're talking about, oh, I need to demonstrate my experience. I need to do all this. Great. Past that level, now we hit the water level and we have to swim and dodge those dodgy jellyfish in Mario. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Super Mario Brothers, the original on Nintendo, go and check that out. But we then have to probably do another interview. Nicole, if you're here, Nicole, I think I saw you pop in. So good to see you. How many interviews did you have to have, plus a presentation to the board before you got your first gig in instructional design? I think it was like 3 or 4. And so the hoops are getting harder. And then the final test is Bowser. You got to rock up to day one and start, rocking worlds. So that's a really challenging thing to think about. So one of the reasons why LAMP was created was because we want to be able to give you a little kick, little boost, are there any boosters in Mario? Yeah, it's like the little star, the invisibility star, or when you get the flower, like you probably not the mushroom because the mushroom makes you a little bit big, but bigger isn't always better. That's why agencies like Mary, Lavender Dragon Team and Learn Awesome exist, because the smaller, the nimble, the more agile, sometimes you can get into those tight little crevices and cracks. See how we're still managing like 5 minutes later to keep the Mario analogy alive. I'm going to keep it alive for the rest of this session. And if that means that you're going to leave, sorry, it's being recorded. So I'll put a timestamp as to the most relevant information. Anyway, that's what we're going to focus on. This is LAMP giving you some superpowers so that you can have a leg up. And the leg up is real experience with a real client, real endorsement from me and Lavender Dragon Team and the client, and then being able to rock into the interview with some very, 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 very relevant, which is very important in 2023, very relevant answers and very relevant questions to ask, because it's a two-way street. And we talked about that in LAMP 2.0 with Andreas, Charles, Nicole, and Lisa and Marsha and co. We talked about how when you ask questions in interviews, you're actually able to bluff a few extra years of experience and sneak a few extra years under your belt just by the way and the type of questions that you ask, which is super, super cool. So I'm going to unmask the next agenda topic, which I'm absolutely butchering. So maybe we'll just unmask them all. It's like the Masked Singer on. Do you guys have that in the US? Oh my gosh, really? Is this happening? Is this happening? And then this is the part where most people just be like, oh my gosh, what's happening? But there it is. There it is. Portfolio tips and tricks for success. Love it. I didn't even start at the right spot. It's ridiculous. The next thing I want to talk to you about is the portfolio tips and tricks. I see so many posts today on LinkedIn. Like it seems like the transitioning teacher movement started, and then all the wolves in sheep's clothing came out, and now everyone's a transitioning teacher career coach. And if you know what that's about, just give me a little reaction in the chat or on the Zoom board. Yeah, I can see a few there. So this happens, and that's cool. I want you to know that the LAMP program, that's not our core business. We're an agency. We're working on a project for the YMCA at the moment. It's out of control, and I need Mary and Amadeus's help. So that's what we do day to day. And so we're actually in the trenches, working, running and gunning. the challenge is that there's some people out there giving you advice that's not necessarily anything other than their opinion. And that's a lot of things that go on in this industry. So when it comes to your portfolio, the one thing that I know as someone who's hired lots of instructional designers over the last 15 years is if you give me a portfolio that is just your storyline file or your Rise file, or insert your learning artifact here, and you let me go and play with it, you're not going to show me what sort of designer you are. You're only going to show me your design skills. And what I mean by that is if you wanted to check out later, I'll put the links to it. If you go to Learn Awesome and then go to our portfolio, you won't see a single thing that you can play with. All you'll see is a video of me talking to you about the program that we've created, and I step you through the program. The reason I do that is not because I don't want you, probably it is, probably because half the stuff that we build is locked under a non-disclosure agreement. So our team have to build like a copy of our client's project and then make it a different brand, different info, different content. So to be honest, the project that we're showing on our portfolios aren't actually finished. They were finished for the client, but they're a completely different thing. So in time saving, and to reiterate this point, I video my walkthrough because then I control the dialogue, I control the navigation, I control the location. And because of that control, I get to talk about why I chose certain parts of this program. Why did I choose storyline? Why did I choose this interaction over that? And for me as a hiring manager, that's what I care about the most. So if your portfolios are just your project and just your write-up about what you did, the problem, the solution, the outcome, cool. But I think you're leaving opportunity on the table. And super easy to just grab Loom, 5-minute free plan. You don't need more than 5 minutes. Press record, screen record you consuming your own learning, and then call out why you did certain stuff. That to me will show so much more about who you are as a designer, why you're super important, how smart you are, how you think. Because I can teach you as an employer, I can teach you how to do storyline. I can teach you how to build stuff. I can put you into courses to boost your graphic design skills if we need to. But what I can't teach, or what's harder for me to teach, is the way that you see the world, the way that you interpret the problem that's faced in front of you. And recording and demonstrating that to me in your portfolios is a fantastic way to step yourself up against a lot of the rest. Because I see a lot of the portfolios that come out from some of the other programs that exist out there to help you get your foot in the door. And those technical programs are fantastic, but we're here to sort of say, well, this is our experience. This is what we've done. And this is what we see. And this is what we think is so important. So really key point there. That is the second thing that I wanted to talk about. The last thing was the interview. And one of the main things about LAMP that evolved accidentally was we started talking about interview questions all the time. And this is our Miro board that we actually use as part of LAMP. So if I get out of here and start butchering my way around the world, that's a good song, by the way, Around the World. Who sung that? Anyone in the chat? Help me out. So if we look at from an interview perspective, that would be really cool. And now I've got the chat open. So yeah, Laura, absolutely love it. Love that you can, yeah, anyone can do that. They put a PowerPoint together as training. And is it Daft Punk? Is it Amadeus? Oh my gosh, it's so cool. But what I want you to see here is I don't want you to get too caught up on reading this, because this is what you get is part of LAMP. But in LAMP, we break it into 4 weeks. I'll go into the project stuff in a minute. But what's important is there's an interview skill development section for each week of our program. And these aren't anything to go by, but I want to just reiterate and reinforce that point that I made about why it's so important to interview and ask good questions. So asking questions like in week 1, we do planning. How did you receive the brief for a learning project and plan the build and delivery? What were some of the key considerations? How did you interact with your team and stakeholders? Really important things to know the answer to, because guess what? In your interview, if you're ever asked how you plan your projects, boom, you've got a real answer. But you can also flip this around. There's a video on this page, which everyone in LAMP gets access to, that has me talking about some interview questions. So imagine if you asked your interviewer, hey, so in my last project, we received a brief from the client, then we workshopped it, then we did some visual storyboarding using Miro. What tools do your team use? That to me, my furry little friends, is, Why are they asking that question? They must have a few extra years of experience than what they're putting on their resume. Boom, instant credibility. So that's an example of asking some questions with relevant and timely experience that you get from, say, a program like this. The challenge when you go and build your own projects is that you're the subject matter expert, you're the learning designer, you're the project manager, you're the LMS person, you're the head of tech, you're the head of hopes and dreams. So you're everyone, which means when I ask you the question, hey, why did you choose Storyline over Rise for this project? And you go, I didn't have any storyline projects on my resume or portfolio, so I just chose that. Wrong. If you said to me, if I asked you that question to one of the lamps, why did you use Chameleon instead of Storyline? Well, we only had a 4-week turnaround for this project. The project was mobile first, and the learner age group and demographic and avatar was around 18 to 25. So we preferred to build something that was a little bit more mobile responsive out of the gate. And we wanted to do something that was a little bit more visually appealing and easy to use on a device. Boom. Like, to me, shut up and take my money. You've got a job. So Deborah's asked a question. When explaining the process in an interview, would it be desirable to speak to learning theories that we considered when creating training design elements that you chose, or both? That is a fantastic question, Deborah. Deborah, way to go. Thank you for asking such a great question. Opinions, now it's going to be opinion land. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get Mary, Amadeus, Charles, Andreas, Nicole. Can you have an opinion on this as well? Laura, I'll get you to have an opinion as well. I haven't looked at who else is on the call that could weigh in, but anyone's welcome to weigh in there. I'll put my opinion in. And the opinion is if you start going down the path of using things like pedagogy and andragogy and theoretical methodology, you run the trap of getting into a flex off with anyone else that's in the interview. If you have someone who's in your team or who's going to report to you and they feel like, oh, I need to make sure I like stick it to the new person, then you'll get into a bit of a battle. I've seen it happen a few times. So I would stay away from it, but I would also highlight and cover it as you're showing why you did stuff. So just do it in a non-theoretical way. So you can talk about models without talking about models. That would be my opinion and perspective. I see Amadeus nodding his head, which I can just sort of go, yep, I'm on the right track. And Laura's on there. But I would divert that to Laura. And Laura, I'm happy for you to keep managing that question while I crack on, because I'm mindful of time, folks. We're not going to go the whole hour because we're almost there. Here's the lamp board. This was lamp. Yeah, here they are. My little class of September 22. We have a bit of fun. It's got to be fun, folks, because you do become part of the crew, part of the family, which is really, really important. So we'll ask for one of your memojis or bitmojis to help us out here, which is super cool. Charles and Andreas, who do you know who put this card here? Because I came back into the board after a few weeks off after LAMP finished, and I saw this card. I'm not sure if it was you guys, but if you do need help, I'm here. Just let me know.
I'm blaming it on Marsha. I don't know who did it, but
that's so funny, mate. That's so good. But it was all cool, and we might hear from you guys in a bit to sort of tell the peeps on the call what it was like, and it's being recorded so we can share it to the big wide world. But right now, I just want to sort of go into what the bejeepers is LAMP about. So as I said at the start, LAMP is all about giving you real access to real client, real experience, real projects, and get a chance to come and hang out with us. If you haven't can tell already, it's not boring. I'd hope. We try and keep it as fun as possible. On the Learn Awesome website, we've got this page here, which goes into a lot of detail. So it's learnawesome.com.au/learning-mentoring. And so that's where all of the information of LAMP really lives. You listen to me for 14 minutes, or you could be on this call with me for a little bit longer. It doesn't matter, but goes into blah, 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 blah. We know this. It's hard out there. But then you can sort of hear from these legends. Michelle, I forgot Michelle. I can't forget Michelle. Didn't forget her. It's just Michelle was in the crew as well. Michelle and Marsha. So there's some info, there's some highlights from them. You can also go and check out these projects. Now, the three that I know that are on the call, Nicole was interviewed by Chameleon, and Charles was just too busy. So you'll get your chance in the sun. Same with you, Andreas. But Nicole was interviewed by Chameleon to show off her work, which is amazing. Charles we use your compound interest program as examples of what's possible. So I can hopefully get you some project work in the next, this year, the year of Charles getting to work with either Mary or Steve, either. And then similar, Andreas, with your resume program that you built for Life Skill Academy, I've been showing that to people to sort of illustrate the benefits of using like a Google Doc template to then help make learning. So you can actually see the programs that the team built in LAMP 2.0. Lisa was a savage, man. She was so cool, but she just liked pain and liked to set herself up in an environment where it was just high stress. Only person that chose Storyline for her 4-week program with us, which was pretty cool. Some action shots, and then we want to go through, I guess the LAMP. So LAMP exists in two worlds now. So LAMP 1.0, LAMP 2.0 was just come in, paid version, hang out with us. Super, super cool. But we want to offer two this time, because one of my colleagues in Australia, Matt Bibby, and if you're ever on the Storyline communities, you'll see Matt. Matt was basically the Articulate nerd that populated the entire Articulate Heroes community with support. So that was really, really cool. And what he said to me after I caught up with the crew at Chameleon is he said, dude, you need to offer a free version of this. I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but sure, whatever. What's really important to me is that I lost a lot of sleep over trying to solve LAMP, because there have been programs in the past, and the warriors of the e-learning world will be nodding their heads to this, where it was basically they used mentoring for a while as like slave labor, where agencies would bring people in under the guise of, yeah, come and learn some skills. And then they would farm them off to actual clients, charge them out at $1,000 a day, and pocket all that for themselves and get them to do their work. So that's no good. And I couldn't sleep with myself or have any sort of comfort knowing that would be anything remotely the case. So that's why we've partnered with the Life Skill Academy. That's why we've donated our agency Learning Design to build their entire learning infrastructure, including their website and all that sort of stuff. So Life Skill Academy then give that knowledge away to the world for free. That's their mission. So they get funding through other areas, but it's not funded, or there's no revenue generated from our learning design work. So when our designers build anything, it doesn't get any money, but we are also not making any money from the Life Skill Academy. There's no commercial relationship anywhere, which is super, super important. So there's two ways that LAMP works in LAMP 3.0. So it's a 4-week program, and it is a 4-week program. The written people are like, oh, I don't have time. It's hard. I can't stick to 4 weeks. Well, in the real world, unfortunately, there are timeframes. So LAMP is going to start on the week of the 6th and the 7th of March. So it's the first full week of March this year. And it goes for 4 weeks. Do you have to be, Mary, I had to build one last week I had to build a course in like a day, and then forget about it. So you just have to do it in some of these worlds. So it's good practice, but it's not 4 full weeks. You don't have to take 4 weeks off work to be able to do it. If you were Lisa last year, and Lisa, we love you, and the program that you put together was absolutely fantastic, but I know that you spent more hours than the recommended allocation. Steve's recommended allocation is between 3 to 5 hours a week. Now, Charles and Andreas, I also know that you guys are superheroes, and you would have not been satisfied with anything other than perfection. So you may have spent a few extra hours on it too. I'm happy for you to divulge that to the crowd in terms of the time that you spent on it. But ultimately, the LAMP project is about you spending 3 to 5 hours a week, maybe more if you want, but it's up to you, on building this stuff out. Each week we go through the planning, design. Let's go back to Mira and then I'll come back to this. We go through the planning, design, delivery, and the review of the project. So yeah, week 1 is plan, week 2 is design, week 3 is development, and then week 4 is review, tweak, and launch. What's Charles? Everyone's celebrating Charles. Look at, yeah, of course. There you go. I'm glad you put that stat in there, Mr. Rise Machine. You'll have more rises under your belt than I will in a minute, mate. That's awesome. So 4 weeks, plan week 1. So we get together, we plan it out, you get your brief. We think about it. You might storyboard, you might figure out what you want to do. Then in week 2, we do design. So storyboard, tool selection, content agreed, design templates, layout, and you commence your build. You pick your tool as well, which is super, super important. Put that in your resume, Charles, says Laura. Great point. Number 3, development. Program most of it's built, but now you're actually just spending a week really just sort of dialing in the build and the design and all that sort of stuff. Then week 4 is the review, the tweak, the launch, and then we've got a little bit of padding on the end if we need it. But one of the, like the project that Nicole built was the Pomodoro technique, time management, how to manage your time. Andreas had resume or CV writing, and I learned straight away that resumes and CVs are different things in the US. In Australia, they're the same. We're very efficient. Charles had compound interests. Marsha had nutrition fundamentals like label reading, and Michelle had, Michelle's program was so cool. It was about how to do laundry, and like you laugh, but like as a life skill, critical. And she did a really good job adding some gamification in. She used a couple of cool tools as well. And then our last one, the Storyline Savage, was 401k and did another fantastic job. And those things were done during this period. But what's great is that we step you through each week. So the aim of planning, the aim of design, the aim of development, so you don't get lost. We stick with you for that week, which is super, super important. Then in terms of support, what else happens? Like we catch up on a regular time. This is LAMP 2.0. So we have a weekly group catch up, we had co-working, we had a one-to-one check-in, and we had ad hoc support. So depending on whether you do the free LAMP or the paid LAMP, it just depends on how much support you get, as well as what level of endorsement and project you get access to as well. So how that's going to work now, I guess, is if we look at this one, this one here, perfect. So this is the full-blown version, because it's got all the features and all the stuff that's involved. So it's 4-week progressive program, weekly group catch-up and collaboration sessions. So we'll jump in, you can work together, you can do your thing like that. Weekly open office. So this is the change, because what happened is I indirectly had to take 4 weeks off Learn Awesome work to be able to just look after the crew from last time, which was worth it because I really enjoyed it. But the designers at Learn Awesome were like, dude, you coming back? Like, what's the story? You're doing lots of one-to-ones. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a weekly open office session. We've also got Mary and Amadeus, who are going to help us in terms of be mentors and support and have more time for us, which is amazing. Dedicated Slack channel for the paid Lampies. So the paid Lampies, you get more access with us, which is cool. The Miroverse, so you'll get access to the Miro board where all your briefs will be on there, all the resources, all the links, all that stuff. Super, super important. Paid Lampies, you get access to the Learn Awesome world fully. Like, so if you need our graphics, if you need Canva, if you need extra tools, sweet. If you're in free LAMP, then you get to use like the Articulate free trial. Plus Chameleon is going to do something really, really cool, which I think I already revealed because my little cute attempt to black out the things failed. But so you probably know what that's going to be anyway. But you'll get Chameleon to build in if you want. Heaps of free trials out there that we can help you with. You get to go through the entire planning, design, development phase, which is super cool. The paid Lampies will get their programs launched on the LSA site, the Life Skill Academy site. The free LAMP is basically a submission for consideration of whether or not their program gets picked. And that's important because if the client all of a sudden gets inundated with 20 projects and they have to pick, we just need to protect the client a little bit. We need to protect you and we need to manage your expectations. So with paid LAMP, that project is a specific brief. You'll get given a brief, a project, it'll be yours. You're the only one working on it. And then between us and the client and you, we'll feather it and build it to make sure that it's publishable at the end of the program. For the freebies, the free Lampies, you will get a brief. It'll be a similar brief to everyone. So everyone will be building to the same brief. You get the opportunity to go through the process with a bit of support from us, using some cool tools. And then at the end of it, you can submit your project at the end of 4 weeks for review by Learn Awesome and Lavender Dragon and Co. And then consideration by LAMP to decide if that project or that person gets to publish their stuff on the site. We'll also make a little competition going, get a competition going as well for a free 12-month license to Chameleon for the person that gets picked out of the free LAMP pool. Then for the paid Lampies, this is probably the main stuff. And Mary and Amadeus, you can sneak in the CV as well, depending on how much involvement you have with each person. But depending on who's really sort of like your key person, you get an actual endorsement. That's the kicker of the program, right? Is because you're coming in to Learn Awesome as part of the premium LAMP, you get an endorsement because I've worked with you. we've worked with you, and learn awesome Lavender Dragon. So that's all implied there. But because we've sat with you, we've nursed you, we've had some conversations, we've project managed, we've given advice, we've seen your work in an intimate stage for 4 weeks, that's enough for me to have confidence that I know how you work and have no issue as an agency owner recommending you based on your performance to the world of instructional design. You can then also list your experience. Everyone can do this, but obviously at different levels. So if you're just building the project as part of for the free lamp, then obviously you can say you participated in the program. This is the example, and you can put that on your portfolio, of course. But if you were obviously in the premium lamp, then the difference is you get to list that as experience and as a client. And someone has snuck in, Lizzie Casey has snuck into the Miro board. Amazing. How on earth did that happen? Oh, no, maybe you're doing Zoom annotate. Whew. Scared me for a minute there. I'm trying to figure out which tool I'm using, and then all of a sudden, bam, all happening. Love it, Lizzie. Keep participating. Draw some money for other funny stuff on there for me. You get the reference, you get all that. But again, that's really, really important. Chameleon, our friends at Chameleon, I'm going to put a video on LinkedIn this week. I did an interview with Reese, who's the head of customer success. For some reason, Chameleon came on board and they're just like, we really like what you're doing here, and we really care about new to industry learning designers. We want to support. So for our premium lampies, you get 12-month license for Chameleon, which means basically get an authoring tool for a year to build as many authored programs as you want to boost your CV. Now, if you're like Charles, who's building a million learning artifacts for his gig, you get obviously that. And we didn't ask them. They just told us, yep, we want to make sure that the lamps and the world that's being fed into this new world of learning design and instructional design get across some of the new tools. Now, what is Chameleon? Chameleon's like, it's like if Rise was cooler. I reckon that's where I put it. It's like it's a rapid authoring tool built in New Zealand. And if I look at Andreas is smiling because it's frustrating at the start. It's new. So it doesn't have the same UI as Rise. I've got to give Articulate credit. They've made a pretty easy to build tool. Like Articulate Rise is super, super simple. And just look at without Rise, if Charles was building in Storyline, that number, his stat would be 1 or 2 compared to the hundreds that he's been able to create, which is fantastic. So that's what it's for, but it lacks a lot of stuff. And the stuff that it lacks also runs parallel with the level of complexity to learn the tool initially. So that's what Chameleon is. I got frustrated during the first couple of weeks of LAMP because I was using it for the first time too. And I think the team would have remembered me saying, Chameleon, oh, it's making me angry, but it's so cool. And it's true. And since then, since that first couple of weeks hurdle that we've all got over together in LAMP 2.0, I've since fallen in love with Chameleon to a point where we use it for pretty much all of the stuff that we do. The only time we jump into Storyline is if we really need to, or if I'm really feeling like punishing myself. That's pretty much where it's at, because learning has evolved so much now that the cute, ultra variabled programs are just cute now. It just shows that you've got to flex and that you've got some brains to work out variables. What's now more important is understanding your learner and understanding the audience, which is super, super cool. If you've got questions, folks, remember, just bang them in the chat. Or if you've got some banter to throw at me, I'm reading. Just a heads up from my old facilitation days, if you're going to send me a private message, make sure you put it in capitals, because if not, I will read your private message out to the group, because that's just how I'm drilled. I look at the chat quickly, bam. Is March the only time? That's a great question, Deborah. No, it's not. We're going to run the cohort. So we run the cohort based on how we feel and how our souls are. So unfortunately, that's not great for the public. But because it's not our core business, we do it when we've got bandwidth. So March seemed to be a really good time for us to have bandwidth. I don't know when the next one would be. Ideally, I'd love to say middle of this year or sometime later in the year. But we aim to run like 2 or 3 of these a year, but appreciate the amount of, hopefully you can sort of see the amount of time and effort and work that goes into facilitating this. It's a mission, and we've just got to balance that with our agency commitment. So yeah, really great question. So that happens, right? So that's our LAMP action right there, which is super, super cool. So we're almost done. And then I've got a bunch of questions that people asked over on the LinkedIn verse. So I'm just going to read those out so that they've been recorded. And if you've got other questions, please just bang them in there. Program dates. So yeah, program dates, I said what did I say? The 6th and the 7th of March. The reason it's the 6th and the 7th is because we are an international affair, folks. So it's the 10th of February for all of you in the US right now. And the future, it's pretty bright. It's looking good. The sun is going to rise tomorrow for you in the USA and in the UK. So yeah, we're all good. Everything is all good. But 6th and 7th. So it'll either be my Tuesday, your Monday in the US. So either way, we'll make that happen. And then you'll get a whole bunch of info about how that works. So the two choices that you've got are free LAMP. Obviously, that's just go back onto the Learn Awesome website, and I'll put all the links post event, and I'm going to just message the recording out to everyone that registered, and then put it on our profile, because it's super important that we just get access to this and get it out to the world. You can still share it, but important for those that are here that you know all the info. So free LAMP, you'll just fill out the expression of interest form after you click the apply button on the Learn Awesome website, and we'll just put you in a list, and we'll sort you out. We've got heaps of time before March, which is great. For paid LAMP, there we have the option, right? So you get the bonus, you get the 12-month subscription. Oh, the special thing that we mentioned is Chameleon. I was having a chat to Reese, and I'm like, dude, we're going to do free LAMP. And he looked at me and he's like, you're ridiculous. That's not possible. I'm like, no, it's okay. Mary and Amadeus are coming on board. I'm just going to let them take care of the free LAMPies, because now that's going to be like our fair trade agreement between the US and Australia. Joking, chill it, relax. It's okay, Mary and Amadeus, but we're cool. Not true. But he's like, oh, okay, how are you going to run it? And I'm like, yeah, we'll just basically we'll strip out a bit of the support and the endorsement stuff, and then we'll just bolster it with a bit of group community support. So we'll create a little free LAMP community, and you'll be part of the paid LAMP crew, but just not get as much hand-holding by virtue of the fact that we just can't. Okay, says Reese, and he's got the Kiwi accent, which is super cool. Goes, do you want a 30-day free trial to Chameleon for all the free LAMPies? Yes, I do. So what's cool is if you join the free LAMP program, you'll get 30 days. So your 4 weeks of LAMP will be a Chameleon trial as well, which means that you get to potentially build on Chameleon and learn a new tool, which you can then put on your resume as I know storyline, Rise, Chameleon. And people are going to be like, what, Chameleon? And you'll be like, yeah, it's a cool tool. Our project that we did, see how we go? See how you've got now this whole dialogue that you can now tell to interviewers. Laura's sitting there just like almost passing out, I reckon. I can't see you, Laura, so don't worry. I'm just making sure that you know this. She's sitting there passing out because we're going to be creating this army of people who are going to be equipped with the power to succeed and answer really good interview questions. All right. Then what we've got is if I put this in the chat, not this one, this is for paid LAMP. And it's paid LAMP goes there. And then it's, what was it called? Oh my gosh, I can't even remember what the discount code was that I created. But anyway, it'll come to me. But what I'm going to do now, while I go and find that discount code, because what I want to do is I want to offer like a 50% early bird special for, we've got 15 tickets, golden tickets to 50% off LAMP for the, I don't know, till 15 tickets get used. If they don't all get used, this is how cool this is, right? If I was some other provider of a program, I would have an agenda where I need to have, or Mary and Amadeus Steve we need to have 50 people in our program. Otherwise it doesn't run. We'll run LAMP with one person, because our job still exists. The sun will rise the next day, but we've got 15 early bird tickets available. And if they don't all get used, cool. It means everyone gets a discount in paid LAMP. Rad. If they all get used, just message us. And if you message us and say, please, maybe we'll find a 16th, but I'll find that. Mary and Amadeus, I'd love to get your perspective just quickly, because the peeps need to know their mentors. What do you care so much about new instructional designers or the new people in the industry? Why is that something important to you? Discuss.
I'll
while
start.
I solve this.
I'll start. So, I mean, first of all, my business partner was a new instructional designer, and he grew up watching me do instructional design work as we drove to and from tennis matches. So giving back, and I've always said I would rather teach somebody with passion, because I can teach them the tools, but passion, an inquisitive mind. And there's so many folks out there that I run across on the social networks, on networking meetings and stuff, that really don't have the background and the experience, and they're trying to say, I know it all, and yet at the end of the day they don't. And I want to be able to share what I've learned coming up the hard way for the last 20 plus years with other folks. And the other part is working with new people to the field. It gives me new perspectives. Amadeus is frequently the one who has to reel me in, because I'm like, oh, let's try this. Oh, let's try this. Oh, let's try this. And so he's the one going, stop it, stop it. So your turn,
Uh, I would say similarly, for me, watching new people as a new person, I wouldn't be able to get into the field without people that have experience being willing to teach me and let me get to the level that I'm at. And I'm still growing a lot and learning a lot every time I open up a new application or something. But so for me, that's just an opportunity to teach other people and help them along in the pretty much the same way that I got helped. And hopefully down the way, they can then pass that on to other people that they're also going to help.
And unless there's any confusion, Amadeus has been doing this for nearly 10 years. So I mean, he's got a little bit of experience under his belt, but not as much as I have.
That's important, and I love it. I love this. It just reminds me of home when these two, I'm between them right now. So it's like, settle down, you two, settle down, lock up your China, kids. They're at it again. What's cool is Amadeus presented, and Mary, but it was Amadeus's idea, wasn't it? Presented at DevLearn this last year in Las Vegas. So you're dealing with some rock stars. I'm proudly non-award winning. I don't believe in awards, but that's pretty sweet. Miss Jen, hopefully I answered your question. I think I did, around how many people. One or all of them. Like it honestly doesn't matter. Like we had six last time, and that was enough for me. Like that took me to the edge of my ability in terms of having time to do anything else with my life. But we have re-engineered LAMP 3.0 to, I think, deliver heaps more value, but obviously protect Steve a little bit, just a little bit, but bolster it with even more cool stuff. So with that, I just want to probably answer some of the additional questions that came through on the LinkedIn. So I'll keep the recording going just because that's important that we do that. But the questions that came through, load my pretty load, was, and I'll just smash these out super. What's the difference between the free and the paid options? Deborah, I think we covered that. And again, beautiful. I think the beauty of these questions is that they were asked before the event. And if Deborah, you're here, so you know the answer. We've already covered that. But yeah, free and paid is just differentiated by the amount of involvement that you get from the mentors, and then also how far down the rabbit hole you get with the client. So free plan or the free LAMP, you get to build a project, a generic brief that's given to us by the client, and then you'll build that, and other people will build that as well, and then you'll submit it for consideration. You can still say that you were part of the program. You can still use it as evidence on your portfolio, and you can take the great advice that you get from being part of the LAMP program. The paid option, obviously, heaps more hands-on, work with us, get endorsement from us, get a piece of reference on your CV. If someone wanted, like, I don't know if it still happens, but do people still call peeps? You can give them my Aussie number in the US and say, call collect. Steve will tell you all about how cool Charles is, or how cool Andreas or Nicole is. Absolutely. Is there guidance through the projects from other professionals? Yeah, Mary and Amadeus, of course. How will you connect learners with clients? We won't. This is literally, we protect you. We protect you from everything, and we project manage you to the Life Skill Academy. Those who join the cohort after the first session, are they connected with the clients? No, no. Probably because no. Will they be able to get clients after that? Yeah, looking at work. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, so Pooja, we had a chat about this on LinkedIn, I think. This is great for freelancers. If you're thinking of dancing into the freelance world, this would be a great opportunity to do your first project or your next project, get your resume dialed in, get your website dialed in, and get all that happening. That's awesome. Any tips? Yep, shared a heap of tips. Watch the recording. Sure, 3 to 5 hours weekly commitment, include the meetings, mentorships, or they just expected working on my own duration? Yep, absolutely. Workload's important. So Charles, I know you didn't do 3 to 5 hours. don't hurt the souls of the people. But Charles is there's a perfectionist. No, I wouldn't say you were, mate. I'd say you were probably the most agile and willing to take feedback. And as a result of the feedback, you had a choice. And that choice was to serve up a hot steaming mess of something that may have passed back in 1997, or growth mindset, go all in and produce something that, without a shadow of a doubt, he's on the call. I'm a fan, was phenomenal. And Andreas and Nicole, I love you guys too. But I've got to give credit. What he produced was amazing, and just sort of, even Chameleon love it, dude. So make sure you get a chat with them. Really, really important. And then Pistol, are there any projects like that on May? Not sure. As we said, March is the confirmed date for now. And then Parker, amazing, absolute newbie, which is awesome. Is there something I can relatively new? Yes is the answer. And that's probably the last thing I wanted to talk about, is at 48, we're so early, which is great. This program will not teach you how to use Storyline. This is not a technical program whereby we show you how to use the tools. We'll help you. And I brought on a new designer recently, and Charles, don't freak out, Australian time. I needed them on Australian time. But I brought them on and they had no idea what Storyline was. They didn't even know what learning design was, because I love bringing in people that have no idea about L&D, because then they've got no bad habits, which is great. So we made a spreadsheet on all of the timestamped YouTube videos that exist on Storyline to learn it. So if you want that, I'll send that to you as well as the recording, because that's like, I looked at it and I'm like, man, if that existed when I started learning, my gosh, what a way to go. Okay, let's have a look at Holy Open Tabs, Batman. Yes, indeed. That's how I roll. I have to get a new Mac because the M1 chip is not fast enough to keep up with my tab open obsession. If already applied for LAMP, then I'm interested to join, but slammed at work till the end of April. Is there another option? Maybe. Sure, just maybe message me and see what we can do. The challenge is, though, is that once it starts, we can't stop it. And once, like, you can't jump in halfway, because then I'll be running, multiple things going forward. This SMS company, don't do that. Samantha Miles, don't be like that. What do we got? That's all. Sorry, Samantha. It's not Samantha, because I looked at it real quickly and then it's not. And I don't even want to have, respectfully, I don't even want to have a crack at butchering of that name. It's too early and I haven't had enough caffeine. Folks, that's it. I'm going to stop the recording there, because it's important that the people watch it. Here's a hot tip. If you do live events, don't not edit your recording, because we'll edit this a little bit, but maybe not. But if we did like an open Q&A now and we heard like the tales of woe of the world or anything, that sucks for someone who wants to watch it on demand. So you should stop and then give the on-demand people just the on-demand version. And then some things are better rewarded to the people who rock up live. So with that, I'm going to stop the recording and talk to my amazing live crew and hear all about the amazing things that are going on.